some mutton.
Thank you.
Wildfire.
That's encouraging for me, buddy.
I couldn't hear.
I couldn't hear either. If you're calling for me.
I never can. It has. If you'd stand with me for the invocation. Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to gather this evening to conduct the business of our community. Please be with the families in central Kansas that are enduring the fires that are breaking out all across our fair state at this time. Protect them and their belongings, and the firemen that are trying to protect their properties. Be with our law enforcement as they protect us, and also our military as they protect our country. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Andrew, do you have anything at this time?
Well, we did have our first HEAL committee meeting on Thursday. Went really well. We met for about an hour, and besides the formal stuff of getting a chair and everything, we discussed what sort of foundation is already out there, both with Aware and KC and other groups. And we feel like we have some good traction moving forward. We're going to be meeting monthly, and hopefully we'll start seeing some things coming to the council's way not too long in the future.
That's good. I think we might even get a little update on that here a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of it. Plus you got
Is
the
that
minutes.
the
So,
update?
yeah. Andrew did the honors.
Okay.
So.
And of course, we're all thinking of Chad. He's a member of that
Yeah.
group, so he's in our thoughts and prayers, obviously, with what happened on Sunday.
Very much so. Thank you. Tony?
Nothing at this time.
Raymond?
Nothing at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Lee?
Just thoughts and prayers for all the local fire department. They're out there fighting fires and, bad deal, but really appreciate them guys.
Mother Nature's in control. Lloyd? Thank you. Okay. And we had our HEAL committee report. Yep. Okay.
Summarized.
Yeah.
Show me a curve here. You know. Should have said, bye, Andrew.
Yeah, sorry.
He wrote it.
I talked too much already. So I'll let Andrew do it.
Remember that come evaluation. Okay, Katie, do you have anything at this time?
Yes, I just want to give you another quick update on where we're at with some legislation that could be affecting the city. Last time, 2 weeks ago, I told you I had submitted some written testimony on behalf of the city on against House Bill 2310. That was the House bill that is attempting to, again, make some changes to our election process, which would take away some of our home rule power, which we just used not too long ago. So that was, the committee did have a hearing on that. The newest issue that I've been involved with is House Bill 2376. This bill just got numbered yesterday. This is proposed legislation between the League and the Kansas Association on Counties together. And what it has to do with is the tax lid that was, as you know, passed last year, where if our budget increases over the tax lid amount, which is based on CPI, 1.4% is right where it's at right now, that we have to have an election to essentially approve that budget increase. Well, what this, and that statute that was passed last year is very vague on how that election is to work. At the very least, this year they need to go in and put in some detail about how that is to work for cities and counties. But what this proposed legislation does is make that election protest petition driven, and that's similar to our charter ordinances where we pass it, and then if there's a protest petition, then we could potentially have an election. So what they're proposing is if we need to increase our budget over that percentage amount, that we can go ahead and do it, and then there's still power with the taxpayers. They still have the power to do that protest petition, but it's not a mandatory election unless your taxpayers come forward with a petition asking for the election. And then there's a piece of it where if that protest petition goes through, then it comes back to the council. You can either decrease your budget or you can go ahead and have the election. But what it would do is give the cities time, for one, to educate as to why would be an increase in the budget. We all know why we got all kinds of reasons why our budget would be increased, but health insurance costs, equipment costs, public safety, all these mandates that have come down that the local governments are having to kind of take the impact of. So anyway, I did written testimony in favor of that House bill that the league and the county put together. That hearing was originally scheduled for this Thursday. It's now been moved to the 16th of March. That is the tax committee. Susan is on that committee. So I've obviously sent this on to her, which, I mean, she'll be seeing it anyway in committee, but I did go ahead and send it to her. The other issue, and I had Mandy do some research on this, House Bill 2177. This hearing has already been done by the tax committee, but what this is there's a proposal to make use tax origin-driven rather than destination-driven. And the reality is we don't really know how that would affect Beloit. My thought is it probably would not be a good thing because we're not really a retail hub, so to speak. The league is neutral on this bill, so we don't get because it's good for some cities, bad for others. There are about 10 to 12 states that are origin-based on their sales tax, if you want to do some research on it, on what origin-based versus destination-based is. And the rest of the states are destination. Right now, Kansas is destination. This bill is a proposal to go origin-based, where it's taxed on where the order comes from rather than where it's going within transactions within our state. So Andy went through and kind of looked at our numbers, and the reality is we just don't know how that would affect us, but the unknown is kind of scary, and we rely on our sales tax a lot. So I haven't submitted any testimony for that. It's just kind of out there and hasn't gone anywhere yet, but they did already have the hearing on that. The tax committee did. Susan indicated in her recent newsletter that she would be going around her local cities and counties and just to talk to them about that and kind of see what their thoughts were, because again, it affects everybody differently. So that's kind of where we're at with the legislature. There's obviously lots going on, but just wanted to update everybody. So if you want those numbers or if you want to see my testimony that I submitted, I can give that to you. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jason.
Tom, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Katie, aren't there some things that are already origin-based? Like, I know if you go somewhere, like if I go to Concordia and buy a couch, I'm paying sales tax in Cloud County. And if I buy a car in Wichita, I'm paying sales tax in Sedgwick County.
Vehicles are different, and this
Okay.
is where you're like ordering stuff. If you go somewhere and pick it up,
Oh, okay.
then you're paying theirs.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
the difference.
This is the
Okay.
order, and yeah.
All right.
And
Thanks.
vehicles are they're their own animal. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Question? Jason.
Yeah, and to piggyback off the treasurer's thing, or the sales tax, kind of Mandy and I were talking, it's hard for us to drill into our stuff to find out, you know, if it's the opposite right now, maybe you should be able to give us the numbers of what it would affect us if they change that. So I plan on, it's on my list to call the treasurer's office just to find that out. You know, I would think that would be a key piece of information if I was a legislator, and obviously for us as a decisioning body of how we would support it either way. And so, I plan on trying to see if we can find that out, because I think you'd want to know, we would want to know that, and the legislator would as well. My report, I got that out to you guys. Just a couple highlights. You know, we had the Department of Labor thing we're dealing with on the electric utility and the power plant. Getting a few of those pieces almost wrapped up. One thing that we looked at and then did an online webinar with is basically an online MSDS cataloging system. Currently, we have Eve's already gathered over 1,000 different chemicals that we have, and that's just the power utility. And obviously, there's going to be a lot of duplication throughout the city, but we need to get the whole city current on this. And so you think about the manpower she's put into it. As soon as you get it produced, the next day it's out of date. WD-40, for example, had 10 reiterations in just 1 year. So it's a pretty affordable cataloging system that, you know, between splitting all the departments, it was like $20 a month is going to cost them. And so they're going to be able to instantly pull it up, instantly produce it, add to it, and it's already done. It's already updated automatically. So I know a lot of companies, et cetera, are going to that. So it'll pretty easily pay for itself right away. Plus, it gets us into compliance citywide. So we're looking at probably going after that tool pretty hard. The old fire truck is now listed. Hopefully you'll see that. You've probably seen the paper on Monday, previous Monday. You'll see it in the Trader on Wednesday, and I also have it listed online on the Fire Trader website. So we'll have that going through the 31st. So that's the one we just replaced, and just a sealed bid process. So on that Friday the 31st at 10 a.m. we'll open those to see what we got for that. We do have some interested local area fire departments that are interested in it, so hopefully they'll find a good home. I did get a recent development with Kyle Railroad. They were in town a couple of weeks ago. I think Tom ran into some of their crew, but the general manager was also in town, so I reached out to him. And I had reached out to him earlier, and it's kind of one of those things like, yeah, right, you're really doing something about it, but they looks like they have pushed it further down the road as far as accessing the state. It needs some signaling. It needs to be updated there to get into compliance, and they're hoping to kind of piggyback the repair at the same time, because they also understand that it's in poor condition. So obviously, like he said, the wheels turn slowly on this, but I think if we consistently, he seems to be aware of it, his crews are, he was in town, saw it, so I feel like that is going in the positive direction anyways, to hopefully get that fixed. I just offered obviously any support or any way that I can help, help with that application or grant application, that I would. So I'll continue updating you on that. The last thing is obviously the safe routes to school. Obviously we've been working on that. We're down to about the last 2 easements, very close. It's just obviously got about 39 I think or so that we started with, so consider that a success, especially for as late in the game as we knew that we had to get those, unfortunately. I still see this project happening this year, but I really hope to have those wrapped up this week. I have a beat on the one, and the other one it's sitting with them. I just need to get it back. So overall, I would say pretty successful considering some of the, it was a few difficult spots, and we worked with the property owners and got that completed. So I'll answer any other questions anybody had from my report or anything else that they had questions about.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next item is a report from Chief Elam.
No, right now, we don't really have anything to talk about. I will have you a report for the next meeting. We're still trying to put together how we want to format those reports to give to you guys, because otherwise I'm just going to inundate you with a lot of numbers that really aren't going to make any sense to you. So we're still working on that format, and we'll get the next meeting. You should be able to see the formats we're looking at utilizing to present to you.
Okay, that'll be great. Thank you, Dave. Next is our community development report from
My
Heather.
turn. Just a couple of things. I know we've talked about this, but I thought I'd highlight it one more time. Tree City USA will be in town March 22nd, 23rd. March 22nd, we will have people in town that will do some tours around town, so hopefully you'll see some new faces. And then March 23rd, we're hoping anywhere from 100 to 150 people from across the state will be in town. That will all be at the Christian Church on Thursday. There's some pretty phenomenal speakers, so if you haven't registered and you'd like to go, please sign up so you can attend. We got a few previews of some of the speakers, and yeah, there's some pretty interesting things happening. We are looking at putting in an application again for housing rehab, so just so you know, that is on the agenda. Carol Torkelson at NCRPC is working with us on that. We will get some pre-applications out later this spring, and then we will apply for that in November. We are going to also apply to Dane Hansen for a $20,000 countywide cleanup grant from Dane Hansen. We will probably do that early summer, like May, June type time, and it will be countywide, and it's good for up to $20,000. You might have seen some information about that on the after the county meeting on Monday. But we're kind of excited. $20,000 should hopefully go quite a ways. It's for the whole county, but there's some exciting projects that are going to happen. Speaking of Dane Hansen, I am going to attend a community forum that they are hosting on March 23rd, which means I'm going to try me in Tree City and Hayes for a community forum. We're also going to I'm going to host a breakout session for that because our Solomon Valley Community Foundation, our local foundation, was very successful in November when we did a matching campaign. So they would like us to share some of the tips and tricks that we did. I also hope to gain some tips and tricks on what they're doing for their countywide cleanup, and then kind of what they're doing for some other things. But we'll share some of our knowledge. All 26 counties have been really good about working together. Last year when they hosted that forum, there were a couple hundred people there, so they invite Community Foundation, they invite Economic Development Directors, they invite pretty much anybody. So if anyone would like to go, they go through all their new initiatives and everything that they're going to bring forth from the Hansen Foundation. Again, there's an awful lot of money sitting out there, and they really are working hard to get it into these communities, so that's great. I am accepting nominations to write from Solomon Valley Economic Development for the Business Appreciation Month. We have done that for the last several years, and we're getting ready to accept nominations and then put those into the state of Kansas for the Department of Commerce Business Appreciation Month. If you remember last year, we were pretty successful. We nominated Cunningham Telephone and Cable, and they were one of the top 5 in the state, so they had nice recognition from that. Every other year, we've been pretty lucky, and we've had a regional winner, so they enjoy nominations from west of. Somebody this week said anything west of Wanamaker, and I was like, ooh, that's even getting further and further east, but anything west of Wanamaker is out here in western Kansas. And then one more thing, we have had our first application for the facade improvement program. If you remember, we talked about that a little bit. It is an improvement program that I'm running throughout the entire county. If a business would like, you can write for a grant. It is a loan, geez, it's a loan, not a grant. It's a loan for up to $5,000 to do any sort of facade improvement on the front of their building.